welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be installing another performance modification for the Stormtrooper. So today we are going to be installing intake manifold spacer. What this is going to do is should increase power because it's not going to let the air get as hot. So a little bit more of that. So the engine for the 2010s to 11s, I believe, they have the cast iron intake. What's wrong with that is because I installed a colder intake, which takes colder air, puts it into a hot metal air intake, and what do you think that's gonna do? What that's gonna do is gonna heat up the air and then take it into the engine, which is pretty bad. Which is why the new engines, they actually have that made out of plastic, is to not heat that as much, and it's worked. And for the 2011s, in my case, this is the counterattack to that problem. So what this is going to do is going to separate both of the metals with some supposed to be a heat resistant plastic. And what that's going to do is going to reduce the air temperature, making it colder. Working with the colder intake is going to be a lot better. And on the website, it does says that you can gain up to 20 horsepower. It doesn't sound much, but for the cost of this, let's try it. Let's see how well it does. So we're going to go ahead and unbox it. We're going to go ahead and install it. Should be simple. We're going to take bolts off as always. Slide this in the middle, bolt it back in, and it should go in perfect, and we should see a little bit of gains. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go ahead and unbox it. That way you can see how it's supposed to look. So I bought this from Tracy Lewis Performance. It's a performance place that it's seen more for turbochargers. It has superchargers. It has all kinds of stuff. Even the catch can is one of the most famous thing and products that they sell. It is pricey, but it is the best of the best here in the catch can industry. Especially for Camaros, they sell a lot of things. They love the V6 Camaros because, again, that's the ones where usually they get the superchargers from. They also do a lot of tuning. The tunes are probably the best. I've heard nothing but good things of this company, so why not give it a try? If they're telling me that this is going to give me a little bit of horsepower, why not? So the first thing we're going to get, so this official is called the RX Insulator Manifold Spacer for LLT. That's the official name that I'm sure you get on the website, but as always, I'll leave the link down here. Shows you how to install it, shows you what's the top, what's the bottom, shipping details here. So that's all for that. It comes in some wrapping paper, bubble ones, the ones that we like to press on. And this is the product itself. Pretty simple, as you can see. It does look to be tough. It does look a little bit weight to it. It doesn't look like it's just some random plastic piece that goes in there. I do see a little bit of like O-rings right here, almost like a rubber band right here. I'm guessing that's for the seal, because you do not need two O-rings or nothing like that. You're pretty much gonna put this on top, put the old O-ring, or let's say the stock, and then we're gonna go ahead and just, let's call it gasket, and then we're gonna put the old manifold right on top of this. And this is what's gonna separate the heat difference, and this should give us around 20 horsepower. I do not have a dyno to test that out, but like I said, they've been pretty good at getting people's trusts. So I'm going to try out this product. I'm going to install it. I have nothing to lose, and I'll give you my honest opinion as always. So the only thing we have left to do right now, you guessed it, is the installation. Alright, so I already took the bracket, the engine cover, and now we're going to have to take these right here to remove this. That's going to be the first actual step. The rest should be pretty much self-explanatory. If you have the brace, take it off. The engine cover, we're going to get to these. This is one of the tools that I have, really helpful. Now this is easier because I did take this off whenever I changed my spark plug, so there you go. Alright, well here we are, that's out. We're gonna have to take some bolts off. This one is size 10. You got 4, you got 5, size 13. I think there's 2 in the back as well. We also need to remove this part right here since this is pretty sturdy. That way it lets this go up because it is bolted there, why not? So take this off, take these hoses and take those bolts. For these you just get this little clip and press out. Same with this one, it has some weird stuff happening here, but I'll show it on camera. Take those bolts, this one, and it should be able to come up. Right, so this is the gasket. You can see, I don't know if you could tell on the camera, it has a little bit of like oil in there. That's pretty bad, but good thing I already have a catch can. So that is probably going to be one of the next videos. Is going to be the catch can because it's already in my house and everything. So we're going to go ahead and put this up again. This is going to go on top. The rubber bands of the spacer itself is going to go down. And let's see how that goes. Alright, so this is how you're supposed to do it. Here's the little rings, the rubber facing down because it's going to go towards the engine. And then these little big stuff goes up. How you know is because there's little holes like this one right here that matches into right here. So it's going to match perfectly. As you can tell, the holes match. For the bolts, everything matches. So now we're going to go ahead and install it like that. And then put the bolts back in, and that's literally it, guys. Alright, so we're going to have to take this bolt to make things easier because it's not lifting enough. So taking this one, there's also another one over there. We're going to try with this one. If not, we'll take both of them out. Just remember that they are, let's say, backwards. So you are going to take it this way, not that way. So for this bolt, left would be out here. So when you can take it off, turn it this way. And yeah, we're going to take this out, see if it works. If not, like I said, there's another one over there. We'll take it out. Alright, so we just decided to take both bolts. Just while we're at it, make it easier. Everything should come up really nice. Everything should fit perfectly now. I'm going to go ahead and give it another try and see if that works. Falling apart, you began to cry. The tears are making you blind. The future's far away, but alright, so it's installed. Now we want to double check. I can't really get the camera through here, but we're going to double check everything is good and sealed. Put all the bolts back on, and then we'll give it a start and see if there's any leaks that we can hear, and check engine lights. If there's none of that, this will be a successful install. If not, we'll have to come back and check it up again. But again, you want to double check before you put all the bolts. That way you don't have to have none of that. Alright, so the bolts are on. We had to take some and readjust something because it wasn't tightening good. So hopefully now they are good now. Yep. And alright guys, so I already tightened these up. Like I said, a little bit of trial and error. You do have to do some movement. Don't expect it to get on the first try. So now these are in. This is probably not going to make it. The other one we're going to try, but probably won't, to be honest with you. But this is pretty sturdy already. I'm going to put the cooler intake back in, the lines. And then we're going to go ahead and ready to start it up. So for this one, I pretty much got this one loose in order to lift it up a little bit. And I'm just going to tighten this and tighten that at the same time. So it pretty much becomes strength to support this. That's how I'm going to go about that one. Right now we're currently working on the back. See if we're going to be able to get some. Looks like we might, but it's just limited space. That one's a really hard bolt to get to. Alright, so this is pretty much there. You can see it don't fit all the way, but you don't want to put too much stress on these. Everything else is pretty much there. This one, I'm going to probably leave it around there. They're really hard to get to, and they really don't do anything but to make sure it's there. But as you can see, this one is really stuck to that bolt. Let me see if I can focus better. that boat. So if I keep doing that, I already know what's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. So I don't want to risk that either. So for now, this is really tight in there. It's really good. So pretty much the install, everything's plugged in again. This one, colder intake. Let's go ahead and start it and see how that goes. But there it is, guys. As you saw, it works. Once the engine is on, I do hear a little hiss, but it's like really minimum. And I honestly forgot if that's normal or not. So I'll have to look at some noises for engines, I guess, because I do hear a little bit, but it's like minimal. It looks to be coming from right here, so I don't know if it's probably the PCV system or something like that usually makes noise, that I'm just getting kind of worried, because you know how it goes. You do something and you think it's going to be what you did. But anyway, guys, that's the installation. I'll keep you updated on the next part. If that's not the case, there's no leak or anything, I will see you maybe after 2 weeks. Try it out, make sure everything's good, and then I'll be back for the final review. Alright, guys, so it's been about 3 weeks since I installed the manifold spacer, and before I get to the final review, I want to just give you little tips and tricks to be able to install this a little bit better. As I always do, I installed it for the first time, and based on my experience, I try to make your life easier. So the first thing I want to say is don't be lazy and go ahead and take out all the bolts you have to take. I was trying to take some bolts here and there and, you know, just lift it up and slide it right in there. It doesn't work like that. And if it did, I'm probably going to spend more time than I would have just taken the bolts out. So just take all the bolts out that I described in the video, do them all at the same time, and then that'll make your life easier. The second one is to make sure you don't have leaks. So make sure everything is nice and tight, and make sure that everything's good, and also don't over tight the bolts on top. You do not need new ones because they do reach, but just make sure you don't over tighten those. And I just want to give you an extra tip on that. So whenever you install it, of course, you don't want it to leak. How those type of things leak is called a vacuum leak, meaning that it's sucking air through there. The air is supposed to be sucked in through the colder intake or the intake in general. But whenever you have a leak, you're getting that air plus a little bit of the leak air. It's unmeasured air, which is bad for your engine, and as well it's not filtrated. So it's really bad. So usually you'll get a check engine code that lets you know about that. But if you don't, I've heard of cases where it doesn't. You might want to double check with that. How I checked it without using expensive tools and stuff like that, I did it the most professional way. So I actually asked a friend that vapes, or if you vape, you can do this also. And what I pretty much did, I put the smoke and directed it to the manifold. If the smoke just disappeared and it went inside the engine, there you go, there's your vacuum leak. But if the smoke just dissipates in the air, then that means everything is good and you're good to go, which is what I did. Now, talking about that little noise I heard, because you might recall I heard a little noise, it was actually from the PCV system. It was just the hissing or the air going through there. So it had nothing to do with the manifold, so I'm happy about that. And the reason I heard that is because I really never put my ear to the engine like that, just like I'm pretty sure most of y'all don't. So if you do hear a little bit of hiss, I guess it's normal. And I did install a catch can. So right now there is a catch can, but that's the next video coming up. And that's how I discovered that it in fact was that. Alright, so for the final review and my thoughts, if this is worth it or not, I first need to tell you something. So when I got the headers, I did my 0 to 60 times. So I am keeping with the 0 to 60 times. I just don't release them because that's for a whole new video that I want to make. So I'm not going to be releasing the times yet. But pretty much I put the headers on, did my 0 to 60, got a good improvement. And then I did 0 to 60 till I installed the manifold spacer. When I did that 0 to 60, I actually lost 1 second in like 1.3 seconds. So it's not fair for me to go ahead and blame this product for that. Once, because it don't make sense why you would lose power. It's just for the heat. That's literally all it does. What I feel it is that I've been running with headers for about, I think, 2 months already with no tune. So I'm sure 2 days after I did the 0 to 60 it started running a little bit lean. I do get quotes that said, hey, your engine is running too rich because of the cats. So for that reason, I feel like it's unfair to blame that, because I am pretty sure that it's it hasn't run with the tune. The engine is running poorly, which, by the way, I already have the tune on its way. So hopefully that's gonna make it. But going back to the theme, I didn't get to 0 to 60 before and after accurately, because I just thought I could reuse that 0 to 60 that I did 2 months ago, which is not the case. So I'm learning on that, but also that kind of sacrificed that portion of the video where I have something to back me up. In this case, I don't, but I also don't know if it does any difference or not, because again, there's no concrete answer. Now, what I have noticed is that after running the engine for like 5-6 minutes, I put my hand on the manifold spacer, or on the manifold, and thanks to the spacer, it doesn't get as hot. I'd have noticed that back then you would feel the heat right away. Now it takes a little bit longer. That has to say something. Now, putting physics into the product, I don't see why it wouldn't work. It totally makes sense. You're making the air cooler, hence more horsepower. A little bit, right? I'm not saying go ahead and put this on a stock vehicle, put it in there and you're gonna feel like you have a turbo or headers, because it won't. It's pretty much just like a little mod, a little piece to the bigger puzzle. So for that reason, I think like I would recommend it. Like I said, if you already have headers, if you already have all kinds of stuff, or you just don't want to have heat soak for the sake of your mind, which I don't think is a huge problem when you're talking about a stock vehicle, you know, because what are you going to add to it? But if you do have some modifications on it, go ahead and throw it in there. It's going to reduce heat soak, and on the long run, because of course once the engine is super hot, that's when that pretty much mod kicks in pretty good. That's where they probably got the 20 horsepower, when the engine was super hot. It's gonna help. So I personally would buy it again. Like I said, I don't have a concrete answer if it works right now, but with this evidence and with all this, you know, interpret it however you want to. So there you go, guys. This is all for the video. If you like, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave any questions in the comments. I try my best to keep up with those and answer every comment that I get. Of course, sometimes it'll take a day or two just because I don't see the notification, but as soon as I see it, I'll give you an answer. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. There you're gonna find content that does not make it to YouTube, such as little mods, pictures, and stuff like that. And as well, if you have any questions, you could text me directly through there. But anyway, guys, this is all for today. I'll see you on the next video.